All right, you are tuned into Bare Knuckle Bowker and very excited to be talking to an individual who's lined up for quite the intriguing rematch that's very enticing to longer time fans of the bare knuckle boxing space. And it transpires at BKB 51 on February 21st in the co-main event as Scott McHugh steps into the mighty Trigon against Martin Reffell. And great having Martin on Bare Knuckle Bowker once again. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. And I feel like whenever we talk, you always have a big fight coming up that's supremely exciting. And I feel like this very much fits within that, just talking about a fight that is a rematch, as I said in the intro, and also a title eliminator by all accounts. So it seems like a huge one here.
Yeah, so it is a title eliminator. Um, Everything's going smoothly. Camp's gone really well. um, yeah, nah, it's a good one. The rematch is something I've always wanted. I took the last one on 3 days' notice. Makes no difference for this one. It's been such a long time. We've both changed, both kind of moved forward from that. So this rematch means more than most of the fights that I've had. As for the title eliminator, obviously Paulie's now fighting Rolando. So it'll probably the winner of us will get the winner of them. Um, so yeah, see how it goes.
No, it's such an exciting time. And I mean, you mentioned it there. I feel like such a big variable from the first fight as compared to this one is you actually have a full camp in this one. Like it seems like you're really looking at this one as one where McHugh is going to get the full Martin Raffel in this one.
Yeah, so this the last time was took on short notice. Took it on the Wednesday, fought on the Saturday. Um, this fight I've kind of dedicated. I know I know what I got last time. I know what was there last time, and I know what was missing last time. So I've kind of worked on what I need to work on, but I've also took into account that he has changed, his style's changed, his work rate's changed, um, and he's also been through a lot. So it's going to be a different fight, but it's going to be the same carnage outcome that it was. So the outcome is hopefully going to go my way this time. That's what I'm aiming for. That's what I've worked for. But you know me, I don't predict a win. I don't predict what's going to happen. I just predict there'll be blood, violence, and entertainment, and that's what I plan to give.
Yeah, I mean, you deliver on that front every single time. So, I mean, fair play. And I kind of mentioned in the beginning, there's a certain, I guess, cool component for like the longer time bare knuckle fans for this one, with this being a rematch. And it seems like there's certain hallmarks to the prior BKB, I guess, regime, as it were, just in terms of getting back to Indigo at the O2 and this being the first event at that venue since the merger happened with the former BYB, now the amalgamated BKB entity. So, kind of cool in that regard.
Yeah, listen, I wanted kind of wanted the O2 as soon as I said they were coming back to the O2. Like I started at the O2. The O2 is a great venue. It's the capital of my country. I enjoy the city. So yeah, it means a lot to me to be on this show. I didn't want to be coming down a weight again. The last two fights I went down a weight to this super welterweight, and then I've gone up to middleweight or super middleweight. And I kind of said to him, look, I want to fight at middleweight and I want to fight at my own weight. I want to fight for my number one spot. I picked out a fighter and said to him, look, this is a potential good fight. What do you say? Can you arrange it? The person that I picked out didn't want to fight at the beginning of the year. So they come back to me and went, what's it going to take for you to come down a weight? We've got nothing at middleweight, not for your level. And I was like, well, I don't really want to come down. And then they mentioned Scott McHugh, and I couldn't turn it down. So I've had to cut quite a lot of weight for this fight, but I've done it right. Aaron McCallum's been absolutely perfect on my nutrition. I'm pretty much spot on weight where I need to be without having to do a major cut and major drain, um, and still be able to put the weight back on after the weigh-in. So it it's gone well. Scott's getting what's coming, and I'm ready for carnage as he will be as well. Got a lot of love for Scott, a lot of respect for the man. He's been through a lot of trouble recently with his daughter, bless her, and I'm glad she's coming through it all. Um, but at the end of the day, this is business. No matter how much love I've got for somebody, like I've said to anybody, they could put my brother in the ring and I'd still go toe to toe and pull out as much carnage and blood as I've done before. So
Yeah, and that seems like an interesting dynamic with this fight. Just the fact that there seems to be like such a mutual respect component, but not in a way where that would affect the fight quality in a negative way. Like you guys are still going to put on a barn burner of a fight to kind of use that lingo, but still have that mutual respect at the forefront. So love to see that.
Yeah, listen, I've got respect for any man that gets into that ring. I've got no hatred for anybody, even the ones that want to try and shit talk and blabber their mouths off, I ain't got time for it, and I only show everybody respect. It takes a lot of heart and a lot of courage to get into that ring in the first place. There's no reason to start disrespecting a man. Obviously, if the love weren't back, weren't given back, it's not something I'd turn into hate or anything like that. Like I say, I'm not that type of man. I just want to fight. I want a good fight. I want blood and I want violence. And, I want it in the right way. I want it in controlled, and that's what this is. It's my way of letting go all my emotions and putting them in the right direction so they don't explode.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it seems like you're lined up for something that's obviously quite beneficial to you. Like it serves the master of finding, like, I guess, a weight class to kind of build up a run in. You're in like a title eliminator situation. It's a chance to even up a series. So it seems like a lot of cool things are falling into place. And it's cool you mentioned the Aaron McCallum component. Like he had that great showing at BKB Miami recently. And yeah, so dialed in with the nutrition piece. So it seems like a lot of cool moving parts are in place for you.
Yeah, so after the Liam Reese loss, where I dropped weight the wrong way and I didn't have no one behind me helping me with the nutrition, I was just kind of winging it. I went to Aaron. He's offered to help before, but I've just kind of winged it, and because I've never really had an issue with the way I've had to put weight on or lose it, because I've never had to lose a lot. But I had to lose quite a lot against Liam, and I did it wrong. At the end of the day, the better man won on the night. But could I have beat Liam? Yes, I could have beat Liam. Should I have beaten Liam? Yes, I should have beaten Liam. Did I do it wrong? Yes. Is that an excuse? No, he won. So after that, I then went to Aaron and was like, "Look, I need you to help me out." He gives me a strict diet. He knows what he's talking about. The man's an absolute legend in what he does. Um, and I went against Canelli as fit as I could ever be and strongest I've ever been. And at the end of the day, that shot to the ear really did some damage. So, the better man won on that night. But again, I've done the nutrition correctly. I've stuck to the diet. I'm on spot. Not going to have to do a massive weight cut, which, yeah, it can be great for a fight, but it's also not really great for a fighter. So the fact that I ain't got to do a massive weight cut is good, and still be able to benefit from the weight gain after the weigh-in. So, the man's a legend of what he does. He's helped me out a treat, and I can't thank him enough. Yeah, I've made some steps, and this fight is going to be epic. Like it'll take a massive fight to beat this for fight of the night. I want the bonus.
Yeah, and you mentioned Canelli. That was a cool thing to see after the fight you two had, like just the mutual respect and further underscores that broader, I guess, mentality piece you were talking about there before. But earlier in the conversation, you mentioned the pieces related to Rolando Dy and everything like that. And I felt like you had, you know, quite the exemplary, fight against him. I mean, that was a very intriguing one for sure. And then you're kind of interwoven in that with like the fact you fought Liam Reese and then D winning the title there. I guess just all that to say, like, what are your thoughts on that Malignaggi versus D fight coming up for BKB Gold? Like, obviously, you have a vested interest in the fight and not necessarily asking for a prediction per se, because I know that's not necessarily your persuasion, but
I'll
just
give you a
general thoughts
predict.
on the matchup. Oh,
I tell you what, I'll give you a prediction on this. I think Paulie's bitten off far, far, far more than he can chew, and I'll say it to his face. Um, Rolando is no fool. He is an amazing fighter. I was lucky enough to get him early on in his career. I wouldn't even say lucky. I knew what I needed to do to beat Rolando, and I beat him. Um, but Rolando is a trained athlete, day in, day out. He lives and breathes it. Um, and Liam Reese could have beat Rolando, but on the day Liam just didn't turn up. Rolando is very good at working his opponents out. I think Paulie's going to struggle in there, and I predict it won't finish. It won't go the rounds. It won't make it to the end, and I think Paulie's going to get seriously damaged. Um, and fair play for him for even stepping in that ring. But yeah, he's gone from Tyler, who's at the end of his career, did really well. Tyler tried to box Paulie and it didn't work. Got a lot of love for Tyler as well. Um, You know, it was a very tight, close fight, and it could have gone either way. Personally, I've watched it, and there was points where I thought, I've watched it a couple of times. I thought Tyler won it, and then and then looked at it again and gone, well, okay, I can see why they've given it to Paulie. But Rolando's a different ball game, and I personally think Paulie's jumped the gun far too quick on his name and his skill as a boxer. This isn't boxing. This is far from boxing. This is nothing like boxing. And yeah, I think that's going to end very quickly. So, we'll see. He may prove me wrong, and I might eat my words. And respect to the man if I do. But yeah, this isn't boxing. Paulie got very damaged in the last fight, even though he won it. And Rolando is going to utilize that 100%.
I'd be curious to hear you expound upon this more because your breakdown of your own experience with Rolando relative to where you see him at now is kind of interesting because I mean, you kind of rephrased it after the fact, but you kind of used that like, oh, I caught him at a good time kind of thing. I guess like relative to the Rolando Dy you fought versus what you're seeing from him now, like what I guess big variable in his game has he really shored up? Like what has he tightened up in his fighter acumen to where he's now the champion?
Well, the thing about it is Rolando can work either way. What I did against Rolando is I smothered him. I smothered his work so he couldn't box, he couldn't work. And even then, when I smothered him, he still caught me with some cracking shots. And it was my pure love of the violence. Like I said, I've said it before. I was knocked out standing at one point in the second round, like my eyes rolled in the back of my head. I kept on swinging, which is why I kept on going. But the boy could knock me clean standing. And for a second, I couldn't see nothing, and I still kept going and I came out and I won that. Rolando can be dropped. I knew that for a fact. He's strong. And I just think he adapts and learns. So where I've smothered him, I think that game plan wouldn't work this time. So I would have to try and box him, and I would have to try and play him at his own game. Can I beat Rolando again? Yes, I can beat Rolando again. Can I beat any man in the ring? Yes, I can beat any man in the ring. But can I lose to any man? Damn right, I can lose to any man. Now, this is bare knuckle. This isn't just going in there, and skill doesn't always work. Sometimes that one punch can finish it all.
And it probably gets you out of the mindset of being like so I guess like outcome dependent kind of thing because sometimes people can get their ego too invested in the outcome one way or the other and obviously you're working towards a victory but just to say to serve the idea that maybe it allows you to just focus on what's within your immediate control and not think about those kind of aspects and have that more balanced kind of mindset. Like does it serve that master you find?
Um, so I don't. Everybody wants a win. Everybody wants to win. But if you focus on that win too much, one, it can either be disappointing if you don't get it, and it can be crushing if you don't get it. And two, it's too much pressure on yourself. You can enjoy a fight. Like I go into a fight with the outcome of blood, violence, and entertainment. And by entertainment, I mean the crowd. The crowd does need to be entertained, but morely myself. I like to fight. I like violence, and I like blood. I'm not a sick, twisted person, I like it in a controlled environment, and I like being in that ring one on one with a man that wants to beat me up so that I can fight back and beat him up. It's just one of those things. We're men. We were born to be like this. We were born to fight. We were born to settle arguments in a ring, and it's an argument in the way he wants to be the best. So yeah, no, it's just one of those. If you think too much about winning, it's too much pressure. It's too much, in my eyes. Other people thrive off that kind of pressure, but I don't.
Yeah, I guess it's just about whatever's ultimately going to serve your own approach. I guess it's one of those things where it's like care less, but don't be careless. Like just don't get too in your head about it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. Like the Liam Reeves was a hard pill to swallow on losing. I think that was my hardest loss I've ever had. And I think that was more to the point of I knew the mistake that I made. I shouldn't have done the weight cut the way I did, and it was a real hard pill to swallow. But I come back from it and I went up against Kennelly. And when I lost to Kennelly, I weren't bothered that I lost. It was a good fight. It was a fight of the night. Six fight of the nights out of 10. Can't go wrong. Must be doing something right. Yeah, it's I was able to get back up and go, yeah, I lost. So what? All right, well, let's move on to the next. Same with Scott. I want to win. Of course, I want to win. I want to finish it, and I'll finish it not by knocking him out. I want it to go the rounds, and I want to get the points, and I want to win. Knock him out, knock him out. If he knocks me out, he knocks me out. Fair play. But it's going to be a long night if he thinks he's knocking me out because it's not happening. Um, but yeah, no, I just want a good fight. Just want a good fight. And yeah, people say you don't get paid overtime, but do you know what? I don't care if I don't pay overtime. I like fighting. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you said, you love it in like a controlled environment. Like you're like, I'm not a wild person per se. Like you're a family man and you carry yourself in a good way, but you like your competitive violence, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the better way to say it. Competitive violence, you know. I am a family man, and I do dote on my kids. I work full time. I'm working tomorrow, to be fair. Like I've been working all week, 'cause I'm self-employed, so you know I'm constantly working. You know, I'm in the gym. I try and spend as much time as I can with my family. Camps are difficult when I'm in camp. I don't get as much family time, but you know, once camp's done, I can spend more time. Good weather coming up soon, hopefully. Well, it's England, I suppose, but you know, I get more out with the kids, and yeah, and then it'll be on to the next fight and into the next camp.
Yeah, I guess it maybe probably helps to a certain extent too to have a partner that also has that desire for competitive fighting and enjoys combat sports too, just to have that partner that understands how much I guess goes into that type of thing and everything.
Yeah, well, hopefully she's out next. That's the plan. She wanted to be on this O2 show. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way she wanted to plan, which wasn't great for her. But you know, hopefully she can get to America or she can fight on the next show. You know, she's snipping at the door now. She wants next fight, so she'll be going into the camp after I'm done. So I'll be enjoying my time off. She'll go into camp, and then she'll be ready to take on a fight of her own. So yeah, it's good having her there. It can be difficult sometimes for both of us trying to get the time to train. We don't always train together. Everybody thinks just because we're couples, we're trying to train together. But you know, sometimes when you're training, you need that time to just do it. So yeah, it's her time next. I'll be pushing to help her get her into ready form for fighting.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's just such a cool dynamic. And we've been kind of talking about some of the highly pedigreed people you've fought in BKB, but also some of the people that you've mapped out intention to want to fight at some point. And we've talked about your want to at some point fight LT Nelson, like just to sort of the idea of testing yourself against top of the line fighters. And
Right,
he's
so
coming back. Sorry?
good. Glad you brought that up actually. Mark Tiffin's fighting LT Smash
No, it's what I was gonna.
in
That's what I was gonna
April.
segue into. Yeah, I was gonna just, I guess,
Yeah.
get your thoughts on that fight because LT had the injury and coming back in April at Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino.
Again, I think Mark Tiffin's, you know, a good fighter and he's a good man. But again, I don't think he's going to do very well against LT. I think LT is going to go for him. Personally, I'd like this title eliminated to have been at middleweight, and then I could have fought the winner of LT and Mark. You know, I'm ranked number one in middleweight, and I know I've had the two losses, but they were at different weights. So I am still ranked number one in middleweight. And I would have preferred to wait until April to get a LT, to be fair, but I didn't know that fight was available. So, and I wanted to be at the O2. So, you know, it's loads of different things. But yeah, after my fight with Scott, I will definitely be looking at LT. Even if LT didn't have a title, I keep saying this, even if he doesn't have a title, even if he was to lose it, I still want to fight LT. You know, he's one of the best fighters in the world. He is the best fighter in the world. But yeah, I think just me and LT would be a cracking fight, and it's one of those fights that I will always kind of be asking for, no matter whether he's got a title or not. So yeah, hopefully, you know, once LT's and Mark have had their fight, you know, Mark might win. You know, but I've got my money on LT. You know, and no offense to Mark at all. Oh, he's a lovely guy, but I just think LT's. I don't think Mark's got what it takes to beat him. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I get proved wrong again, but yeah, LT's always on that map, and that's a fight that I will always want, whether he's a title holder or not.
Yeah, and some interesting moving parts in BKB with LT being that two division champion and Marco Martignac also quasi recently put himself into that context as well. And then on this card, the next guy Marco is fighting, trying to get into that rarefied air of two division champion status with ex heavyweight champ like Villanueva fighting for his Bridgerweight championship. So an exciting headliner for this event as well.
Yeah, it's a cracking headline. And to be fair, the card's been done really well. Steph's done really well. See, Jim's gone now. Bless him. I miss the man. He was a good guy. Never done me wrong. He's not done anyone wrong. It's just one. I think he's just moved on. Bless him. But yeah, Steph's done really well with this card. He's worked behind the scenes relentlessly, and he has done well. So we'll see how it goes.
No, it's just exciting times for sure. And like even when you were mentioning Mark Tiffin, like I mean, he very well could win that next upcoming fight, as you were kind of outlining too. But just shows how many cool matchups there are to potentially be made. Like we mentioned Aaron McCallum before, like him and Tiffin seem like that rubber match is bound to happen. I mean, that would be a great fight. So yeah, just exciting times for BKB fans and seemingly the fighters also.
Yeah, BKB is moving forward and it's moving forward fast. The guys behind the scenes are doing really, really well. Like I say, no one's ever. They've always looked after me. They look after all their fighters and they always put us fighters first. And they do work hard behind the scenes to make everything good for the fans. And keep growing the sport. They've signed some cracking fighters coming up. Um, and yeah, the future is bright. And luckily enough, I'm involved and I've got a fair few fights left in me. Touch wood, there's nothing damaging happens to the point where I can't fight. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the future.
Yeah, no, as you should, man. Exciting times and great getting to talk to you again. To reiterate, really appreciate you making the time to talk during fight week, no less, juggling so many different
Yeah,
things. But I figured I'd give you the floor if you did have a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here, Martin. I appreciate you making the time
yeah.
again.
Listen, fight fans, it's the future's only bright for BKB. We are moving, we are growing, and we are going to come with a bang. Big thanks to my family for always being there behind me in camps. I'm not the easiest person, but your support is always needed. My sponsors as well. Um, they help me out dramatically through fight camps. And to all the fans that are coming to watch me, watch this space. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
These guys always put on great fights. Their first fight was a very intriguing one and a lot of different dynamics with this one. So very excited for this title eliminator rematch with Scott McHugh at BKB 51. As I said, a lot of Bare Knuckle fans super excited about this one. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker ahead of February 21st. Always a pleasure chatting, Martin. And I'm enjoying the build up to the fight and I'll enjoy watching the card too. But until then, you enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me again.